Herbert's 100 harem. The day of the hunt was here, and Herbert woke up late. He woke up late because he was up until sunrise the previous night, watching the downright hypnotic auroras of the night sky. It was the sort of thing that just emptied the mind and just left behind peace and contentment as it went on. He's not sure when everyone fell asleep. He's not sure when he fell asleep. But the sun was rising and everyone was warm, content, and comfy. Then suddenly it was past noon and his bladder was about to call it quits. The ocean had metamorphosed into a crowded mess since he last saw it. Hundreds of boats of dozens of different sizes and makes. So, competition. Herbert notes as he has a lean but calorie-dense lunch. He'll need the energy, but he doesn't want the extra weight. Competition. I wonder how you'll do when you have to face off in a race against others. Yzma remarks, and Herbert sighs. He already has his wetsuit, his gear, and his route planned. I suppose you'll also want me to make up for lost time, he says, eating a clam and putting down the shell with the last of the little bundle that was once his meal. He's eaten twice as much as Yzma in a quarter of the time and hasn't spilled a drop. Something like that, she says, and he snorts before standing up and cracking his neck. He considers his blue heron and then removes both it and its bandolier. Today is about both speed and efficiency while working under maximum stealth. A hard combo, but doable. All right, hang on to this for me. I'll be back with dinner, he says, stretching a bit before snapping on his goggles. See you in a bit, girls. Daddy's getting some sea quake. Then he races off the roof, grabs at the air with Axiom, and catapults down to the beach. One massive long jump that would make a wire few enthusiast call bullshit, and he dives into the water. 3 huge pulls partially phased out, and he rockets through the water as he pulls out his rebreather and clamps his mouth around it. He now has 3 hours of air in sunny tropical waters and some really big shrimp to find. One of the ships above disrupts his light as he keeps phased out ever so slightly to help himself sink. He touches on the bottom of the sandy part of the ocean and looks directly up. He doesn't have any tracking devices, and frankly, to use one here? Foolish. Not only will everyone and their mother have one, but everything they can show will be common knowledge. Meaning that everything they can be used for will just lead him to competition. He needs to go ahead of them all. He needs to be both proactive and intelligent. After all, he's seen how these things retreat. So he swims out deeper, past the boats, propelling himself along the ocean floor. All told, the trip has taken him a half hour and he can feel himself starting to prune. Then it happens. Someone spooks a sea quake. The pressure wave jostles him and he moves with the water. He has to let this one go, though. It's only sort of heading in his direction and not really going to be easy to get to. But the first one spooked sparks another 3, and he phases partway out to resist the successive concussive waves of sheer pressure. But he has to smile. One of the little bastards has all but backed up into him. He starts slowly creeping forward, seeing a series of boats approaching from above as their divers return to their ships. No mercy today, just knives. The diving knife is out, and before the creature even knows to panic, its brain is neatly severed from the rest of its anatomy. His reflexive snort at how easy this is lets up a small stream of air bubbles as he sheathes the knife and grabs the stupid creature by the antenna. Up he goes at a proper pace so he doesn't lose the prize. "What the?" someone demands, and behind the goggles he rolls his eyes as a Lydra swims up. He just has all the luck with the Hydra woman this hunting trip, doesn't he? The gigantic tail and huge webbed claws work in tandem to bring 8 identical sets of eyes, with secondary eyelids over them. He did technically know about that part of Lydra's anatomy, but hadn't seen it in action before. He gives her a little wave while continuing to swim upwards. "How did you do it? Where's your torpedo launcher? Your cavitation cannon? You at least have a spear gun, right?" she asks. and he gives his knife a tap before continuing to swim up. A knife? Just a knife? How did you... When did humans become aquatic predators too? She demands, and he points up. Right. You can't speak with a rebreather in. Why are you using a rebreather? Why not axiom? You're using plenty of it to swim so quickly, she says, and he nods before swimming upwards more. They break the surface, and he pulls out the rebreather. A tap on it, and the beacon incorporated into the device lets a homing signal out. Okay, we're at the surface. How did you kill the seaquake with a knife? Why are you using a rebreather, and are you seeing anyone? Seaquakes are fast and strong, so I use stealth. The rebreather is so I don't use as much axiom as I sneak up. Finally, yes, I'm married, but my pregnant wives aren't suited for hunting in water. Now, if you'll excuse me, I want to treat my family to some seaquake, he says, and then smiles as the small automated skiff zips overhead and then lowers a line to him. He hooks it around the seaquake and rides up with the prize. But I'm not done yet, so I might see you in the water again. That was fast. Isma says somewhat incredulously as the skiff descends and Herbert steps out with the dead seaquake in his arms. Sometimes life just gives you a win. I fully intend to go back out and get another few, but these people are just scaring the seaquakes away, and right into my arms in this case. Maybe, but first you're getting a good big bite of the kill, Baridzi counters, walking up and taking control. I ate not too long ago, he remarks. I didn't say stuff your face. I mean a bite, a snack, a taste. We're here for the exotic food after all. We need to see if we even like it first. She replies and he nods. That's a good point, a very good point. Someone get a big pot boiling. We've got a seaquake to eat. He calls out, holding the large crustacean over his head and getting a drip of some briny bit of water. This gets a snort of amusement from Isma. The girls quickly get things together, and with both axiom and a plasma-based stove has the seaquake ready in no time. The shell steams to a bright red reminiscent of a proper lobster despite the thing being enormous, and with the help of a knife and fork, Herbert takes a bit of leg meat. There's a natural buttery flavor to things that makes his eyes light up. I'm getting more. What do you ladies think? It's a bit much, Balvana notes. No one else seems to be enjoying the seaquake. Welcome to one of the more important but least dangerous hunter lessons, my girls. Not everyone likes the same food. To Tretz, and it seems humans as well, seaquakes are smooth and satisfying flavor that can stand as the centerpiece of a meal. They're just plain weird to Zidane and Yaoya, however, but still perfectly edible. It's a little too close to Purrs for any of us to be really comfortable, as our long association has made us that friendly with the little deers, Isma explains. Wait, I've been tiptoeing around things this tasty for months? Herbert asks, and a wave of panic runs through the entire crowd. Then he breaks and starts laughing. Not funny, Balvana protests, and Herbert avoids saying anything regrettable by having another mouthful of steamed seaquake. He still smiles. All right, well, if no one else likes this, then pack up what's left. Throw it in stasis, and my next couple are for the money and paying off this little vacation. He explains, not bothering to mention that he's still getting an extra one for study on the Dauntless. Yes, the galaxy has studied these things thoroughly, but having a new pair of eyes go over it is never a bad thing. Things go casual as some of the girls hold their Purrs pets in his face a few times to mess with him a little. A few of the little guys get a little of his hair, but the friendly little things let go fairly quickly. So, you girls are all right just hanging out on the beach and resort? He asks, before heading out again. I can keep them entertained, young man. It's just some girl time, you know? Isma assures him, and Borizi nods. We're fine. Go out there and have some fun. She adds, and Herbert runs a hand through his hair but nods. All right, if you insist. This was supposed to be a family trip, though, and I don't want people feeling left out, he says. Even if the feed from your goggles wasn't being broadcasted to us, we have good music, lots of swimming, and good food. We're fine. Go out there and show those early comers what a real hunter can do. Baridzi encourages him. I was about to ask about that. The hunters that are here now seem a little careless. These are prey targets. They retreat rather than attack as a first answer. So people just dipping their toes into hunting or doing it just for sport or fun are here. It increases the challenge with a bunch of careless tourists getting in the way. Isma says, and Herbert turns it over in his mind and nods. Makes sense, he says, and looks out as he sees the telltale thumps of a bunch of seaquakes going off in rapid succession. I better get out there and put the poor beasts down humanely rather than have them scared to death. Put them down humanely? So you're trying to get all the kills yourself? Isma asks in an amused tone. Turn a phrase from Earth. To put things down humanely means to do so without unnecessary harm or cruelty. Quick and clean are the watchwords. I know, darling, I'm just having fun. Go out and have some for yourself. Isma tells him and he nods. He takes the automatic skiff out and then dives off it past the other hunters. He's fully expecting them to scare the quakes into his arms again. He's right, but also wrong. He's not even halfway down to the appropriate level when the little buggers get spooked and sent into the kill zone. He contemplates his options but makes himself sink regardless, as still as can be, and letting the currents toss him just a little to really sell the image that he's not a threat. Don't worry, I'll save you, a woman's voice calls out, and he turns to regard the interloper. A hydro nagasha is gliding through the water at him and then pauses as he shakes his head and points to the seaquake below. Are you hunting? He gives her a thumbs up and slowly descends with his newly gained audience watching in interest as he is slowly pulled past the seaquake, moving just like a chunk of debris and into the blind spot directly behind it. He then starts to creep up to it, slowly, carefully, bit by bit. Woo! Go Tret! The nagasha calls out, and the quake spooks and he barely gets the knife up in time as it crashes into him. Its head comes clean off and he gets the wind knocked out of him as he spits out the rebreather. He quickly pumps Axiom and suddenly there's atmosphere around him so he can choke a bit and get his breath back. Oh god damn, that really hurt. Holy shit, he says, coughing more as he tries to get his pulse and his breathing back into something approaching a calm state. Oh sweet goddess, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they could hear that well or that it would shoot into you like that. He holds up his hands and takes a deep breath before wincing. Cracked rib. Lovely. He then concentrates the Axiom there, putting his hand over the breakage and using it to sort of fine-tune things as he accelerates his body's natural healing. It takes a few moments and then all that's left is the memory of pain. I'm fine. Nothing I can't shake off, he says before looking around. Dead and thoroughly mutilated seaquake? Check. Concerned citizen wondering how to make good after her fuck-up? Check. Knife? In the seaquake still, so that's a check. Rebreather, about 20 feet away and half buried in silt. Not quite a check, but something he can correct in a few moments. Is there anything I can do to... She begins and he waves her off. I'm fine. Just don't shout at people sneaking up on animals, please? Okay. Thank you.